A beautiful coastal town, a place where time seems to stand still. It's summer vacation. The cool ocean breeze is blowing, and the nights are perfectly calm. But beneath this peaceful surface lies a terrifying secret, buried for 15 years. And to keep that secret from coming out, one family is about to do something you cannot even begin to imagine. What happens when a pure genius, a professor who believes only in logic, physics, and hard evidence, is forced to solve a case where the most difficult puzzle is human emotion? Today, we are diving into one of the most emotional and mind-bending mysteries ever written by Keigo Higashino, A Midsummer's Equation. This is a story of a tragic death, an impossible locked room murder, and a genius forced to choose between revealing the truth and destroying an innocent child's life. Our story begins on a train heading toward the coastal town of Hari Cove. Sitting in this train is a 5th grade boy named Kyohei. His parents work in Tokyo, so they've sent him to spend his summer vacation with his aunt and uncle, who run a small seaside inn called the Green Rock Inn. Kyohei is sad, lonely, and has absolutely no idea how this summer will change his life forever. Traveling on this exact same train is another man, Manabu Yukawa. If you read Japanese mystery novels, you know exactly who Manabu Yukawa is. He is an eccentric but brilliant physics professor at Tokyo University. The police call him Detective Galileo because he uses science to solve impossible crimes. Yukawa is fiercely logical, and his most distinct trait is that he absolutely despises children. To him, children are illogical. But fate brings Yukawa and Kyohei together. Both get off at Hari Cove station. Yukawa isn't here on vacation. He's here as a scientific consultant for an underwater energy project. Coincidentally, Yukawa is booked to stay at the very same Green Rock Inn where Kyohei's relatives live. That night, everything is quiet at the inn. But the next morning, that peace will be shattered forever. The very next morning after Yukawa's arrival, a dead body is found at the bottom of the rocky cliffs of Hari Cove. The body belongs to Masatsugu Sukahara, another guest staying at the Green Rock Inn. At first glance, local police assume Sukahara went for a late-night stroll, slipped in the dark, and fell to his death. Case closed. A tragic accident. But wait. The autopsy report comes in, and its findings pull the ground from beneath the police's feet. Sukahara didn't die from the fall. He had injuries and broken bones. Yes, but those occurred after he was already dead. The actual cause of death? Carbon monoxide poisoning. The body had been dumped there. This was no accident. It was murder. Now comes the second shock. Tokyo police step in, and the reason is crucial. Sukahara was no ordinary tourist. He was a retired homicide detective from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, an expert at solving murders. He was known as one of the sharpest investigators of his time, a man who never left a case unsolved. So the question is, what was a retired homicide detective doing in this small coastal town? He wasn't visiting relatives. He wasn't on vacation. He was here with a purpose: to dig up an old secret. Meanwhile, Professor Yukawa's mind goes into overdrive. He treats the entire case like a physics problem. In the open air, by the sea, on top of cliffs, no one can die from carbon monoxide poisoning. This gas is only lethal in enclosed, unventilated spaces. Meaning, Sukahara was not murdered out in the open, but inside a locked room, in the very hotel room where he was sleeping. But here lies the real puzzle. The inn was an old, drafty wooden structure. Air flowed freely beneath doors and through cracks in the walls. If you pumped enough carbon monoxide into one room to kill a man, the gas would inevitably leak into the rest of the hotel. But that night, Yukawa, Kyohei, the innkeepers, and the other guests, everyone slept soundly. No one else was harmed. So how did the gas stay in just one room? This had become a locked room mystery, an impossible murder that definitely happened, but scientifically shouldn't have. Detective Kusanagi, Yukawa's old friend from the police, asks for his help, and Yukawa notices something everyone else missed. In the hotel's basement is an old boiler heating system. That system produces carbon monoxide but vents it out through a chimney. Under normal circumstances, the gas goes straight up into the sky. No danger. But what if that chimney was blocked? Yukawa's eyes sharpen. He knows he's about to find the answer. But not yet. First, he must understand an old story, one buried in this town 15 years ago. As the police ramp up their investigation, the story's focus shifts from the murder to the unlikely bond between Kyohei and Professor Yukawa. Kyohei is bored. He wants to see the coral reefs under the sea, but Kyohei can't swim. Yukawa, the man who hates children, actually feels sorry for the boy. He decides to help him, but in his own way, through science. They build Kyohei a water rocket out of plastic bottles. Yukawa attaches Kyohei's cell phone to it. They launch it over the ocean, and the phone's camera dives straight into the water from the sky, recording a breathtaking video of the coral reef. When Kyohei sees the video, his joy knows no bounds. Yukawa teaches him a profound lesson: there is no problem in this world that cannot be solved with deep thought. You just have to observe things carefully. End quote. It's a beautiful moment. But while Yukawa teaches this boy the beauty of science, his sharp mind has already unraveled the impossible murder. And the truth is going to send chills down your spine. Let's go back 15 years. Back then, Hari Cove was a quiet town. There lived a man named Senba, a hard-working, honest, clean-hearted man. He deeply loved a woman. They had an illicit affair hidden from the eyes of society. And the proof of their love was a little girl named Narumi. But the woman already had another man in her life, Shigehiro, a responsible man who wanted to marry her and was ready to raise Narumi as his own daughter. Then one night, a murder took place. A woman's body was found in town. All police suspicion pointed to Senba. The evidence was against him. He was tried and sentenced to life in prison. But here is the twist, the heart of the entire story. Senba did not commit that murder. So why did he confess? 15 years ago, the murdered woman was actually blackmailing Narumi's mother. To save her mother from the blackmailer, the murder was committed by Narumi herself, who was just a little girl at the time. When Senba discovered that his own daughter had committed murder, his fatherly instinct took over. He wiped away all the evidence, put his own fingerprints on the murder weapon, and falsely surrendered to the police. He sacrificed his entire life behind bars for a little girl's future. Also, Narumi would never find out she was a killer. Fast forward to the present. 15 years later, Senba has been released from prison, but he is dying of cancer. In his final days, he has only one wish: to see his daughter Narumi just once before he dies. And this is where retired detective Sukahara enters. Sukahara was the detective who solved the case 15 years ago, but he was always restless. He never truly believed Senba was the real killer. When he heard of Senba's release, he came to Hari Cove simply to inform Narumi's family, to give a dying father a chance to see his daughter. His intentions were purely good. But when Narumi's adoptive father, Shigehiro, saw Sukahara, he was filled with sheer terror. Shigehiro had one fear: if Sukahara reopened the case, if the truth came out that Narumi was a murderer and Senba was her real father, their entire life, built over 15 years, would shatter. Narumi's marriage, her respect, her future, everything would be destroyed. Driven by this panic, Shigehiro made a decision that can never be justified. He decided to kill Sukahara. Now, back to the impossible question: how did he pump carbon monoxide into just one room in a drafty wooden inn? Professor Yukawa inspects every inn of the hotel. He goes to the roof. Yukawa finds the chimney for the old boiler, and right next to it, the faint mark of a piece of cardboard. The hotel's boiler was faulty. It produced excess gas, but the chimney worked, so it was safe. Now, if someone went to the roof and blocked the mouth of that chimney, the gas couldn't escape. It would be pushed back down the pipes. And the hotel's design was such that this specific pipe ran directly under the floorboards of the exact room where Sukahara was sleeping. The old wooden floor had cracks. The gas slowly seeped through. The sleeping man never knew. Within hours, Sukahara was dead. The trick was brilliant, scientific, almost perfect. But one question remained. Who did it? Shigehiro? He is an old man with bad knees. He couldn't climb onto that slippery old roof in the middle of the night. So who did? Late at night, when everyone was asleep, Shigehiro went to the room of his 10-year-old nephew, Kyohei. He woke Kyohei up and very lovingly, in a completely normal voice, said, "Son, there's a spot on the roof where the rainwater leaks in. Just go put this piece of cardboard over it. It won't take long." Kyohei, who just wanted to help his uncle, who wanted to be a good boy, got up. He went out the window to the roof. He placed the cardboard exactly where his uncle told him to and went back to sleep. He had absolutely no idea that the cardboard was placed over a chimney. He didn't know he wasn't stopping rain. He was stopping a man's breathing. That innocent child had no idea that unknowingly he had become the murder weapon. He had taken a human life. When Yukawa realizes this truth, he breaks inside. If Yukawa tells the police the whole truth, Kyohei's name will come up. Even though Kyohei is innocent, knowing that his own hands killed a man would destroy the child's mind forever. For the first time in his life, Detective Galileo, the man who valued science and truth above all else, hesitates. Yukawa meets Uncle Shigehiro in private. He tells him point blank that he knows everything. He gives him one way out: surrender. Go to the police yourself. But confess in a way that Kyohei's name is never mentioned. Shigehiro has no choice. But Kyohei is a very smart boy. When he sees his uncle arrested, when he hears about carbon monoxide and a chimney, he remembers the cardboard. He remembers that night. And slowly, the horrifying truth begins to dawn on his little mind. The final scene of the book will truly bring tears to your eyes. Kyohei is standing alone at the train station. He is carrying a terrifying burden on his shoulders that he can't even fully understand. But he knows he did something very bad. He is only 10 years old, and he has to learn to live with this truth. Just then, Professor Yukawa arrives. Yukawa doesn't lie to the boy. He speaks to him, not as a child, but as a fellow scientist. He tells Kyohei that in life, there will be many questions with incredibly painful answers. But as long as you never stop thinking and searching for answers, you can overcome any hardship. Yukawa tells him, "You are not alone. We will search for the answer together. And until you find it, I will help you carry this burden." A Midsummer's Equation is a masterpiece of the mystery genre. Usually, a detective's job is to bring out the truth. But here, the story asks, what if the truth itself becomes a weapon? What if the truth destroys an innocent life? Manabu Yukawa sacrificed his own core principles to save a child's future, and Senba sacrificed his entire life to save his daughter. This wasn't just a murder mystery. It was an equation of human emotions, where everyone tried to save someone else. If you were in Yukawa's place, would you have told the police the complete truth? No matter what happened to that child? Let me know in the comments below.